Gentlemen and female gentlemen, welcome, one and all, people of all time, to what I've heard is the craziest debate of the modern era. So, as you know, I've been on vacation for literally 3 days. Some people call it a weekend, like a normal human being. I was on a vacation, all right? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I was gonzo. Crazy shit went down. Mr. Beast got exposed. Freaking everyone's been going nutso. And apparently, my man, Moist Critical, debated Sneako. He lost. Great freaking title, Mr. Tom Dark, because he lost can be any of them. Great freaking title. Holy shit. But anyway, let's jump into it. I don't know what this is about. I just heard bits and pieces that it's crazy and it's wild. So this is gonna be nutso. Let's see what we got here. I call it a vacation because I took 3 days off. Yeah, it's some vacation. All right. Let's go, baby. Let's go, baby. Oh, shit. All right, Thomas, take it away.
Moist Critical just debated Sneako, and it was an absolute mess.
Not what I wanted to hear, dude. Dude.
I'm talking about your personal beliefs. Do you think someone in their 20s should be able to marry a 15 or 16-year-old?
Why is he thinking about it? Wait, what?
Someone in their 20s should be, I mean, I personally wouldn't do it.
That's not the question. My fucking God.
I don't know many people who would do it.
Wait, this is real? Is this real life? Are we watching real life right now?
The maturity for people in the teenagers in the West is getting much worse.
Oh, it's because the maturity of the teenagers in the West. Oh, all right. Thank you for elaborating.
But there are...
We're talking globally. Let's just talk globally. Like, do you think it is okay for... I'm not talking about just you specifically anymore. Anyone. Do you think it's okay for anyone in their 20s, an adult, to marry a 15 or 16-year-old?
A 21-year-old, if there was a marriage where the father consented and the daughter consented, and it was both good on both families and they wanted to do it, why am I going to get involved?
Wait, what? Hold on. People have been telling me that this was a shit show on both sides. How on earth do you lose a debate against Sneako arguing this? Wait, and this is Sneako, the guy that says the only reason why I'm banned off of YouTube and off of Twitch is because I go against the mainstream agenda. It's because I call out the facts. Also talks about why he thinks 25-year-olds should be able to marry 15-year-olds.
Why should we get the government involved?
Why? Because it's a kid. What the fuck? Okay, and if a parent is abusing their child, and it's okay with the parent, all right? Because, as we know, a child cannot consent, all right? Childs are freaking idiots, okay? Child cannot consent, sure. But if so he says it's good with the parents. Okay, so if the parent beats their child, why should the government get involved? The father is fine with it.
Why would I tell them if everybody's consenting, if everybody's okay with it, if the parents are okay with it, if nobody's being harmed, if it's going to be okay?
What do you mean if nobody's being harmed? This is the child being pushed into a marriage. What? I don't get it, bro.
They're both abiding by the rules and they're not hurting each other.
What do you mean abiding by the rules?
Why not?
But they're still, like, they're at best a sophomore in high school. They can't consent to something like that.
So I'd like to think that I have a more nuanced view than most of the internet on what makes someone a creep. I've taken a lot of flack for saying that people who are, in my view, not creeps, somehow actually are. Like, I don't think that a 16-year-old dating an 18-year-old makes them a creep, because I think that nuance matters. But right now, a lot of people are being talked about online and accused of a lot of shit. We had the Dr. Disrespect situation where he admitted to talking to a minor inappropriately. Yeah. We had the Chris Tyson situation where Chris was a huge fan of Shadman and also got into some trouble for some weird shit they were saying around minors, which is...
to minors, too, apparently.
Not good, to say the least. And I think that both of these people should definitely be condemned for what they did. But one person who's been popping up a lot in the news lately has been Sneako, as he was defending Dr. Disrespect.
True, he defended Dr. Disrespect, and then he called out Chris Tyson. And then he called out people for fence-sitting and not being willing to call out Chris Tyson when he wasn't willing to call out Dr. Disrespect. The irony is, according to Sneako, why should you call out Chris Tyson? According to Sneako. He doesn't even believe that the 15-year-olds can marry 25-year-olds. This man is a fucking walking enigma. There's no actual working brain cell going on between this man's ears.
Pokimane, your audience is just jerking off watching you, and everybody knows that. And you know it. Look at her. She's looking down saying, stop that. Look at that cringe. She's cringing at her simp fans jerking off on the stream all day, and she's aware of it. And then she has the balls to go say Dr. Disrespect's a terrible person. Bro, this is my problem.
How is this a comparison? Woman is being sexualized on a stream because she's not even wearing, like, skimpy clothing. Like, she is not doing what a lot of people do on Twitch and wearing like a bikini or whatever. She is wearing normal clothing. People are sexualizing her. And Sneako's comparing that to Dr. Disrespect inappropriately messaging a minor. Dude's neurotic. Like, there's actually something wrong with him. Like, he's the biggest NPC, freaking Matrix following, brain dead, brain rotted, internet coping individual I've ever seen in my life.
With this.
They're both bad people, but like that doesn't.
But nobody cancels Pokimane. There's no hate brigade. Everyone's like,
text a 17-year-old.
but she has 13-year-olds jerking off to her, and she's fine with it and monetizing it.
And he also had a very
How is that an argument, bro? What? Bro, every single movie actress, okay, has 13-year-olds jerking off to them too. Okay? Does that mean freaking Hermione Granger shouldn't have been fucking in the 7th Harry Potter? Because you have minors jerking off to her? Like, what is this argument? How is that her fault? Bro, he's such a clown. He wonders why he's banned everywhere, and he has takes like that.
very hard time talking about the age of consent and what he thinks it should be. He had a very bad debate where he
13-year-olds jerk off to everything, okay? They jerk off to a fucking bendy stick. Why the fuck are you thinking about that, Sneako? Like, I don't understand how you could possibly conflate that with someone actually inappropriately messaging minors.
not answer where he thinks the law should set the age of consent to be.
Age of consent should be, Sneako.
This is not an important conversation.
No, you don't think f***ing kids are not as an important conversation? What do you think the age of consent should be? If you want to be consistent, you don't think anything updates, just tell us what you think it should be.
I think it should be past at a developed age.
At a developed age! That's a 12-year-old, ladies and gentlemen. Let's freaking go. Let's go. This is the Sneako mentality. If she's old enough to bleed, she's old enough to breed. Fucking quote Sneako, probably. It's insane. It's wild.
Developed age. If you had to set a law for it, what would you set it? What would you set it about?
It's a developed age.
And with all of this going on,
Age.
he managed to get Penguinz0, Moist Critical, or Charlie on his stream to debate him. Now, Charlie...
Huge L, honestly. Giving any attention to Sneako in some relevant way is just... like, why? Why? See, the thing is, I think the reason why people... I mean, I didn't see the debate yet, so I don't know where this is going to go. But I think that you can't possibly win a debate against Sneako. Everyone knows he's a fucking degenerate loser that is promoting, essentially, pedophilia. Okay? Cuties is his favorite movie, by the way. You know? So, like, you have to realize that being that everyone knows he's a completely degenerate loser, if he even gets you on 1 point, you lost. You can never make this guy look worse in the eyes of the people, but he can make you look worse if he even gets you on 1 tiny point. It's literally a losing battle. It's like the idea of like, oh yes, I will enter a fist fight with a child. If you lose the fight, holy shit, you're a loser. You lost to a child. But if you win the fight, oh dude, you're a loser. You beat up a child? Like, this is why you can't you can't win a debate with Sneako. You can make him look pathetic, but he already looks pathetic.
As much of a fan of him as I have been in the past, did not perform amazingly in this debate. I think it's clear that he's not a very skilled debater, not his most amazing skill, but I don't really blame him.
Dude yaps in front of a camera. He's not a debater, for sure.
For that, because the average person is not watching a lot of autistic...
Never argue with an idiot. They drag you down to their level and win because they have more experience. Thank you, chat. Well put.
Debate content online. But regardless of how good or bad he is at this debate, the stuff Sneako was trying to push in this debate was absolutely insane, and Charlie also was trying to push some really dumb shit. And I feel like I have to, you know, call it out a little bit here because he said something here that is I'm just not cool with.
Oh no, there's no way. No, Charles Moist. Why while I was on vacation? No. All right, let's fucking do this. Holy shit.
In the 1800s, when it was the age of 10, that was fine. Legally, back then, they were not a pedophile. Today, legally, they are a pedophile.
He makes the worst arguments of all time.
Wait, when was the age of consent?
The thing that the comment...
He just makes bullshit arguments and he go with it. He's like, bro, people were okay with it when literally in 1980, the age of consent was 4 years old. Literally 4 years old in 1980. This is a fact. Look it up. And no one's gonna look it up. It's like, oh god, this is just fucking insane.
Conversation starts.
That was a joke. Stop asking, chat. I was obviously, you know, I was doing the Sneako shtick where he'll be like, in the dark ages, the age of consent was slavery. Okay, that made no sense, but you get my idea.
with is critical, wondering why the age of consent is something that Sneako is so intent on debating, or why he has such an issue with the age of consent in general. Charlie says the age of consent should be an accepted number, meaning 18 years of age should be the age of consent, because when you're 18 years old and you're going to college, you can drive, you're doing very adult things, versus under that age, you're still a kid.
Yeah.
Sneako then responds by saying that the age of consent in most states is not 18, which is true. About 30 states in the United States have the age of consent set to 16 years old. Charlie then says, well, yeah, but that mostly applies to Romeo and Juliet laws, like a 19-year-old dating a 16-year-old is legally not considered bad because obviously they're relatively close in age. And we can recognize that there are exceptions where somebody may be breaking the law, but it's not like a feel-like act, right? Sneako then says he's not arguing to lower the age.
Again, there is a difference between legality and morality. That is for sure. And I feel like no one ever talks about it from that perspective. I'm sure Tom will. Tom's good at this shit. But there is a difference between legality and morality. But ultimately, that doesn't mean, like, it makes it moral, according to Sneako, to freaking marry children.
Age of consent. He's against the idea entirely. He then points out that in Europe, the age of consent is 16 in a lot of countries. In Brazil, it's 14 years old, I believe. He's basically saying...
See, but this is not an argument. It's like, but it's legal there, so therefore it's moral at that age. Huh?
That the law varies from place to place. So he asked Charlie why he believes 18 is the true age of consent to be respected. Right. Charlie then brings up that just because it may be legal in some places, that doesn't mean it's right. Sneako responds by saying, okay, well, I wouldn't really do that. I wouldn't date someone that age. But it has nothing... I love
how Sneako's like, he's deflecting so hard. He's like, I wouldn't marry a child, so I'm not a pedophile. But I don't care if other people are pedophile. Like, that's his argument the whole time.
To do with their age is because he...
See, the funniest thing is, like, even 2,000 years ago, okay, so there is this book in Judaism called the Talmud, okay? It is a 2,000-year-old book of morals and rules and philosophy and stuff like that. And at that age, it was accepted that that people get married super young. However, it still states there that 18 is the best age to get married, okay? It says that. Literally, 2,000 years ago, they were saying this. Okay?
He doesn't hook up with people anymore, and that's his greatest qualm about having sex with someone underage, that it's like out of wedlock. He then claims that even having an age of consent encourages premarital sex somehow. So Charlie says, okay, would you marry a kid?
Okay, so then instead of let's take it away from like premarital sex.
All right.
Would you feel comfortable marrying a 16-year-old? Like, would you meet a 16-year-old with romantic intent if you're in Europe and maybe marry a 16-year-old? Nothing sexual.
I probably wouldn't personally, because I don't think...
I wouldn't personally. All right, we got to hear this. Take this from the top.
Meet a 16-year-old with romantic intent if you're in Europe and maybe marry a 16-year-old. Nothing sexual.
I probably wouldn't personally, because I don't think that I'd be on the same mental playing field. I like to have intellectual conversations. I like to be more...
Sneako. How old is Sneako? Sneako age. All right, so Sneako's 25 years old. So you're telling me the reason why Sneako, 25-year-old, is not marrying a 15-year-old is because he prefers to have intellectual conversations. Cool.
I like to be with women that are around my same age.
So in his personal life, if he can, for some reason, understand that a 16-year-old is not the same thing as an 18, 19, 20-year-old in most cases, he can see that clearly. But then when it comes to applying it to other people, for some reason, he's like, oh, well, it's fine. Which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Sneako makes no sense whatsoever. Bro makes no sense. Like, he doesn't think at all. Like, bro does not think. I bet you he's even been coached on how to approach this in the debate.
You know, I think there'd be too much of a gap. But other people, like, if they're able to get along, then I don't see why that's so much of a problem.
Well, the reason why it's a problem is because a 16-year-old does not have the same mental maturity as somebody who is, let's say, 26.
Wow!
They are vastly different at different stages.
That is such a hot take!
In their life. The 26...
You know, one thing I have to say nice about Sneako. Sneako is probably smarter than the little soap pasties at the bottom of urinals. You know the little soap cakes at the bottom of urinals? The ones that everyone pisses on? I think that Sneako is smarter than those soap cakes. I'm not saying he's smart enough to not eat those soap cakes, but I do think he is smarter than one, like purely on an IQ back and forth.
6-year-old has had college, they've had jobs, they've had experiences far beyond the 16-year-old that makes them much more able to make informed decisions about their life. 16-year-olds have had none of that. So I would say it's wrong to have sex with them if you're far older. Even if that 16-year-old may be physically mature, they're not meant.
I love how Tom is actually fucking like talking about these arguments like they're real arguments. Like, bro, you're oh god.
Mentally mature. It's as simple as that. And I think Charlie actually makes that point pretty well. But Sneako then starts digging into Charlie's ideology a bit. Charlie says that someone who is 17 years old and 364 days is a kid, but somebody who is 1 day older is automatically not a kid. And obviously, this is how we treat it legally sometimes, but practically speaking, a 1 day difference is not a huge change in maturity, right? And of course,
again, ultimately, there is some sort of law of averages. You need to take some sort of average to draw a line in the sand at some point. Because think about it this way. If there was no age of consent, you would have fucking 25-year-olds and 12-year-olds getting married. And that's obviously weird as shit. Oh, that's fucked up. All right, dude. 10-year-old marrying a 30-year-old, not good. I think that everyone can, even Sneako might agree that that's not good. Maybe not, honestly, but even he might agree that it's not good. But that said, so you do need some sort of line in the sand at some point. 18 is the decision taken by a lot of people to put that line in the sand for an average. Yes, you're going to have people that are 18 years old and 1 day that are going to be less mature than a 17-year-old and 364 days. Yes, it does happen that the younger person is sometimes more mature than the older person, but at some point you're going to need to draw that line in the sand somewhere. And 18 seems like a pretty good freaking place to put it, because you talk to 16-year-olds and they're fucking idiots. No offense if you're 16. You're probably an idiot.
Counter argument someone could make is, okay, well, let's say a 16-year-old is very smart. They've graduated college early. They drive a car. Would you say that you can just date them? And I would say no. But Sneako begins to catch Charlie in some serious traps, and he doesn't do a good job of handling it.
Dude, Charlie, oh God, I wish. See, here's the thing. Before you go into a debate, you have to know that he probably thought of the questions you're going to ask. And you have to think of the questions he's going to ask you. And I really feel like Charlie thought this was just like a complete slam dunk. Which it should be, right?
You do admit.
You know what Charlie should have done? If he would have, oh, dude, this would have been so fucking gangster. Walk into the call with Sneako, and he would have asked Sneako the first question: do you think it's okay for a 25-year-old to date a 15-year-old? And Sneako's response was, well, I personally wouldn't do it, but for other people, I think it's okay. Charlie should have been like, okay, you are a pedophile, and hung up the call. That would have been the most gangster fucking shit in the universe.
That varies for most people. Right? A lot of people don't move out of their parents' homes until they're 25, 26, 27. A lot of people don't.
There's nothing wrong with that.
A lot of people graduate high
whole.
school 16. A lot of people graduate high school 20. It's a huge variable. So to set that in stone is that this is when you're a kid and this is you're an adult, that doesn't apply to most people. So why would you define a kid and an adult if it doesn't apply to most people?
Because it needs to be defined. Otherwise, you can get into this really gray area where you...
I think that is a very intellectually stimulating 12-year-old. What do you think, Sneako? Like, otherwise you're...
A lot of the things you say can be misconstrued as you wanting to have sex with a 15, 16-year-old.
Who construed that?
Anyone that heard you open your mouth!
A lot of people, because, I mean...
I don't think
in your
anybody
clips
thinks
that
that.
I played in the
I think that...
video, you were
no
saying,
way.
like, the age of maturity, the age of development, and then you use 16 and 17 in that clip.
So
like, for the age of marriage.
The definition of an adult is 18 years old.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fine establishment right there. Anything under 18 would classify as a kid. I think that's important.
Okay, but you're getting that from what? From personal experience, from the government, from the law? Because that's legally in America, that's when you become an adult, correct?
Yeah, legally.
So
That's when you vote. That's when you could fucking buy a gun. Like, that's when you could drive a car.
Following the government's definition of an adult.
I think there needs to be a definition, and that one's been around for a long time, and I think that's the one most people accept as the closest to, like, yeah, this is when you become an adult.
Now, for the purposes of preventing child abuse and a whole host of other issues, I agree that 18 should be the age of consent. Because the problem you can run into if you get rid of that is that you can begin to justify a whole list of other horrible things. Sneako makes the argument that the law should just be abolished entirely.
This is such a brain dead take. It's like, Sneako literally has no object permanence, okay? This man doesn't think of repercussions to the shit he says. He's like, well, because some people mature at 17 and some people mature at 18, well, in that case, I think that we should abolish the law entirely, free roam on the 12-year-olds. Like, it's just... The craziest thing is he doesn't even hear himself.
which is just fucking stupid. That's wrong. Typically, people do a good job of governing themselves and regulating their behavior. That's why not everybody walking out on the street is in jail right now. But when someone does not and they harm someone else, the government exists in this case to step in and prevent that harm or punish the harm perpetuating it.
I love how Sneako's gonna, at some point, he's gonna just go full anarchist and be like, I don't believe in laws. There should be no laws. He is one step away from saying, I don't believe in laws.
So it sets an example to others that they cannot partake.
Is murder bad? Yes, it says so in the Bible.
And that harm. The government's not always right. There's a lot of bad shit they do, but in an ideal society, this is why they exist. There needs to be some kind of rule to the land because people on their own cannot govern themselves sometimes because they're stupid. And the law especially needs to exist when it comes to children and exploitation. Children are literally the most sacred thing we have as a society, okay? They are literally the future of our world, the things they do now and the ideas they learn.
Bro, Tom's spitting. We gotta protect them, bro.
The experiences they have will, in the future, change the world, okay? And their children will change the world after we are dead. Before they're even able to be adults, we should not be letting them be abused by people who should know better when they're powerless to stop it and can't understand the ramifications of theirs and others' actions.
Yeah, bro is just spitting facts right now. And it's wild to think that the Sneako take is literally and unironically complete... Because a kid can't choose anything when they're that young, all right? You can't ask a 10-year-old to fucking make some life decision. Like, as long as the parents are telling the kids what to do, all right? To fucking remember to change their underwear and eat their veggies, right? As long as the parents need to fucking tell their kids what to do to some extent, like, how do you expect the kids to be able to have the agency to make a decision like this?
Sneako then brings up in the 1800s, we did this.
Right, 200 years ago in the 1800s in America.
Oh my God, fucking hell, bro. How is this an argument you're gonna make? You're gonna love this. All right, say it again, Sneako. I'm gonna fucking destroy your ass.
In the 1800s, we did this.
Right, 200 years ago in the 1800s in America, the age of marriage.
Yeah, but we can't live like that.
Did you know that in the 1800s in America, slavery was legal? Slavery was abolished in 1865, baby. Like, what are you doing? In the 1800s, it was in... So what is your argument right now? Well, slavery was legal in the 1800s, so maybe we should bring it back. I don't know. It was pretty based. What are you doing? Oh, my God.
We're so much more advanced than that. Why would we play by those rules? Because at that point, are you going to start arguing that we should be able
I'm afraid to even look at Sneako. I might catch stupid.
Start wedding 12-year-olds? Like, is 12 too young?
That's not the point. I'm saying, you're saying that...
Is 12 too young? That is not the point. Sneako just does not answer questions. It's like... What's so wild to me is Sneako was actually trained in debate. And Charlie, not at all. And Sneako still looks like a fucking idiot. I know that we're going to get to some point in this debate Charlie is going to fuck up because otherwise...
The U.S. defined adult as 18. Well, I'm saying 200 years ago, the age of marriage in America was 10 and the UK was 7.
Yeah, but slavery was legal. So, do you think we should be bringing that back, bro? Wait, what's age of marriage U.S. 1800? I'm just curious to see what they say. If he's even saying the truth, I don't know. In 18th century America, the typical age of marriage for middle to upper class white women was 22 and 26 for men. Women began courting. What a fucking lying piece of Weasley shit. In the 18th century America, the typical age of marriage for middle to upper class white women was 22 and 26 for men. Women began courting, all right, that's dating, as early as 15 or 16, but most delayed marriage until their early 20s. Okay? He just said it was 10! Bro's just freaking lying. He's just freaking lying. This is crazy. And Charlie's not going to think he's lying. He's just going to believe him.
Right, so if the government decides to change it, you're saying it's 18. If the government, maybe if Kamala Harris gets elected, then the new legal age of an adult is 25. And there could be reasons to say that. They graduated college, they don't leave the house until this age. Their brains don't develop until they're 25. Your frontal cortex is not fully developed until you're 25 years old. A lot of people aren't making serious money. They're not able to live independently. A lot of things that you could use to classify an adult don't happen for the new age American until 25 years old. So if Kamala Harris raised it to 25, would you then say that that's the new age? Would you agree with that?
I think that'd be totally understandable. Like,
right,
I think
so
that's...
why would you do that? Why would you do that? There's legally and morally are not the same. What, it's understandable that the age of consent should be 25? I don't know. It's a bit of a rough one, honestly. It's a bit of a rough one.
Fine.
Then does that make
if you
so then does that make anybody who sleeps with an under 25-year-old, does that now make them a pedophile?
No, I don't think necessarily that makes them retroactive.
So then what's a
But it's an accepted definition of 18 for a long time.
But this is where Charlie really starts to lose me.
Oh shit, yeah, Tom also is with me on this, I guess. Yeah, no, that's not a wonderful look. Again, I think that Charlie is very into the legality, morality thing. He doesn't really seem to make such a differentiation between them. I personally do. Yeah, 18 sounds like an age that makes sense. Again, I'm no fucking scientist that's looking into children's brain development and stuff, but it's a age that makes sense where most people seem to actually have their agency. It has been the accepted practice. It seems to more or less work. So I don't know why updating it to 25 would happen.
25 years old being the age of consent would be dumb. It just would be. And you should not be okay with the government raising the age of consent to 25, and now if you're 30 and you bang someone who's 24, you're now a creep legally. You shouldn't be charged for that. It doesn't make any sense. The appeal to whatever the law says being right and true is dumb. Because obviously there should be a law in place, but that...
There needs to be a law to protect the kids ultimately, right? There needs to be some sort of cutoff, or else you're gonna have fucking 12-year-olds with Sneako's friends. And you don't want that ever, right? Obviously.
Being the only thing that your morality rests on is retarded. There are laws...
Yeah, I'm glad Tom is mentioning this. Again, I think that legality and morality are not a one-to-one thing, okay? Legally, jaywalking is illegal, but I think that jaywalking is perfectly moral, okay? All right? So, just as a simple fucking example.
...that have existed in the past that will exist in the future that are dumb, and I don't care...
Lying! Lying is legal. You can lie legally, but I think it's immoral. You know, it's a stupid example.
...about breaking them. If you're going to defend a certain law, you should be able to justify why you defend that law. And the idea that because the law says it, it's true is dumb. But then Charlie comes back and really tries to see how low Sneako will go.
Do you see why this is like a weird take to have though? Like I don't think you're coming at this from a place of you wanting to f a 15-year-old, are you? To go back to that question,
right.
Is 12 too young? Do you think 12 is too young?
All right, thank you. Fucking grill him on that. Grill him on that. Because last time Charlie asked him, is 12 too young? He's like, that's not the point. Is 12 too young? That is not the point, Charles.
I think 12 is too young for me.
For you.
For me! For me? You're gonna let him get off on that? I told you 12 was the age that he was going with. 12 is an accepted adult. Again, even though the age of marriage was generally 18, I'm talking 2,000 years ago, okay? 2,000 years ago, the general age of marriage was in the 18 range, as I quoted to you from, Pirkei Avot 5:21, all right? You could look it up, all right? 2,000 years ago, 18. However, an adult was the ages of 12 and 13. An adult in regards to, getting a job and stuff. People would get a job at that age. I'm talking really long time ago. But you do know that 12 is exactly where Sneako would say it's starting to be legal.
So you wouldn't be upset if you found out that a 20-year-old banged a 12-year-old for any reason other than the fact is...
Why does he say a 20-year-old banged a 12-year-old? Bro, a 60-year-old banged a 12-year-old. Ask Sneako if that's inappropriate. They both consented. Even the parents consented. Ask him if it's appropriate.
Out of wedlock. You wouldn't be like, that's messed up. If a 20-year-old married a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old or a 14-year-old, you wouldn't say that's messed up. Sneako just spent a lot of time rightfully calling out Chris Tyson for being a horrible person.
Yeah.
Chris didn't even bang a 12-year-old. Is what Chris did only bad because it's out of wedlock?
Oh, shit. Sneako getting cooked. Yeah, because the thing is, Sneako, again, he's saying there shouldn't be no age of consent. There should be an age of marriage, and that should be 12. Once she is mature. That's the Sneako take, and it's fucking insane. So now, all right, that he's saying that, how could you call out Chris Tyson for being a predator when Chris Tyson, as far as we know, never actually had sex with one of the victims, but also they were over the age of 12. So shut up, Sneako. Oh my God, he's insane. He's insane. He has no logic. He has no idea what he's talking about at all. He literally only called out Chris Tyson because they're trans or whatever.
I'm sensing some serious inconsistency here, but Sneako then decides to bite the bullet and
Sneako defended Dr. Disrespect, called out Chris Tyson, but at the same time doesn't believe that there should be an age of consent. He's a walking enigma spouting NPC talking points.
finally say that 12 is too young, which, I mean, thank God he did that.
I think 12 is too young for me.
For me, he says. Bro, cook him on that. How do you...
Yes.
Well, for you, do you think 12
Oh, he's grilling him! Grill him moist!
is young in general? I feel like that should be an easy answer.
Yeah.
12 is too young in general, correct? Because,
Okay.
Yes.
And I don't
But
think you're
I wanted,
coming
I
out-
Ooh, some Sneako fans are gonna hate this.
wanted
from
to
that
find,
angle.
but what you're saying, your definition of adult is not even the actual definition. Do you know what the definition of child is? Like anybody
What?
watching this can Google it. You can Google it too.
You know what? I'm gonna fucking Google it. All right? I'm gonna be on a watch list for this, but I'm gonna look it up. Definition of child. All right? I'll look this shit up. Child marriage. Oh, what the fuck? All right. Young human below the age of puberty or below the age of majority. All right, so that is a child. But now, below the age of child marriage. Child marriage refers to any formal marriage or informal union between a child under the age of 18 and an adult. Yikes. Despite a steady decline in this harmful practice over the past decades, child marriage remains widespread with approximately 1 in 5 girls married in childhood across the globe. Yikes! Why is this to see results about? I'm not in India.
Definition of child is somebody who has not reached puberty yet. That's the definition.
Yeah, true, but what's the definition of an adult? All right, let's do this. Adult definition. I don't know why he's using Oxford Dictionary. All right, so the definition of an adult is a person who is fully grown or developed. So what's fully developed? Apparently your brain doesn't stop developing until you're the ages between 24 and 26. Right? So what? A child is someone that's 13 and an adult is someone that's 26? Is that your take? What's the dead space of 13 years between all that?
Yeah, and then you get into like the abibophile or whatever as opposed to file, and those are all.
I don't know. I have no idea what those terms are. I don't know what that is, but I'm saying that's the actual definition. When somebody reaches maturity, it's based off of biological and physical maturity.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And
So it varies for everybody. Adulthood is not something that you can set in stone because it's different for the entire world. I moved out when I was 14. A lot of people don't move out until they're 25. I went through puberty when I was 17. A lot of people went through puberty when they were 13, 14, 15. It changes for everybody. So for you to say that this is the set in stone age and say you're if it's under 18 and then if you're over 18 you're fine, well then that's a weird line that doesn't make sense. So you're going to say this person is a terrible person if they're 17 years old, 364 days, and right after that, they're good to go.
Why does he use this argument? Like, this is insane.
Well, it changes for everybody. So we have to have something, a definition. We have to.
So what is your definition? Okay, so it changes for everybody, Sneako. Okay, sure. So what is the definition? All right, say it changes for everybody. So what's your definition?
Be realistic with
It's
everybody.
But
Well, we
there
don't.
is-
But you're saying we, but that's not even the case.
God, I wish they would fucking grill this man a little harder. Charles, destroy him. Okay, Sneako. So I get what you're saying. Age of development. Sure. So what age would you be arguing? What would you say? Age of development. How developed are we talking? Because even though there are technically 12-year-olds that are starting puberty, does that count as developed for you?
In the country we live in.
And while people do mature at different rates, and I would not call someone who is 18 and dates a 16-year-old creepy in any way, the reason that the law exists is to make it legally enforceable to punish scenarios like I mentioned before, where a 26-year-old sleeps with a 16 or 15-year-old, or 14-year-old, or 13-year-old, right? That's why the law exists, to punish those people. That is bad, and it should be punished, and there's no excuse for it.
That's the point of laws, right? The point of laws are to protect people and to protect society. You're gonna need to put some sort of stipulation on it because, dude, I don't even know why we're actually arguing this. This is actually crazy.
Whether they're married or not. And if you do something like that, the vast majority of people in the United States will see you as a creep. And that's not just because it's illegal, it's because they recognize the vast difference on average between a 26-year-old and a 16-year-old. This is a pretty easy thing to adhere to. You can just not bang kids when you're in your mid-20s.
That's a hot take. I don't know if you've been on YouTube lately, Thomas, but it's been kind of crazy out there.
It's not that difficult. You cannot marry one when you're in mid-20s. It's that simple. They meander around a bit. Sneako is arguing that sex out of wedlock shouldn't happen, but if you marry a 15-year-old and they're mature for their age, that's fine. Like the
Oh. He's crazy. How is Sneako? He's insane. How do people still give this man the time of day?
The idea that a 20-year-old banging an 18-year-old is worse than a 20-year-old banging a 13-year-old because one of them is out of wedlock is so retarded. This guy's a fucking moron. But Charlie brings it back once again to Sneako's personal beliefs around the subject.
There are
We're talking globally. Let's just talk globally. Like, do you think it is okay for... I'm not talking about just you specifically anymore. Anyone.
Dude, this is they're asking the same question every single time, and it's crazy.
Think it's okay for anyone in their 20s, an adult, to marry a 15 or 16-year-old?
a 21-year-old, if there was a marriage with a...
Why does it repeat it? Just yes or no. Anyone that freaking grifts their answers like this is just going insane.
Actually, I'm going to repeat your question and phrase it in a completely different way, so I'm answering my own question.
It's like someone goes to a politician and it's like, it says to a politician, "What are your thoughts on the economy's decline?" And he's like, "Well, what are my thoughts on child abuse? It's horrible." So this is Sneako every time.
Father consented and the daughter consented, and it was both good on both families, and they wanted to do it. Why am I going to get involved? Why should we get the government involved?
What?
Well, because the government is right sometimes.
If a father is murdering their children with consent, should the government get involved? I don't know why. It's not their business. The parents consented, the children consented, the father murdered them. No harm done. Why should the government get involved?
Actually, sometimes people do dumb stuff. Sometimes people do evil stuff. If someone wants to kill someone else, why should we let the government get involved? Well, because murder is wrong. If the person being murdered consents to it, if they want to die and want to allow another person to kill them, we should just let it happen, right? I mean, they're consenting. No, of course not, because there's an inherent harm in the action of taking someone's life. You are letting a person who is clearly mentally effed up in the head die because they have no will to live.
I don't know. Take it a stage further, bro. A father murdering their child with both consenting. That's what Sneako's defending right now in different terms.
You're allowing a sick person to murder them. That is wrong. You cannot reasonably consent to being killed. Just like you can't reasonably consent to having sex as a child. And this is...
Dude, you could take this so much harder. Sneako's argument is if the parent consents and the child consents, what's the problem? Well, if the parent consents to murder the child and the child consents to murder the child, that doesn't mean the government shouldn't step in.
Such an easy thing to understand. And as for the argument of parents allowing it, yeah, some parents are morons. Some parents will allow their child to be exploited by an adult. But just because they don't think that there's anything wrong doesn't mean we shouldn't set societal standards or have a kind of law in place so that enforcers can punish that person and stop.
Tom has been fucking on fire this whole video. Holy shit. That's why I like this man's videos.
The harm from taking place. Sneako himself may not be molesting kids, but he is arguing for some horrible shit right now, and he needs...
Sneako, I was wondering, what do you think about marrying a 12-year-old?
And Sneako's response, I personally wouldn't do it, but like...
to be called out for that. He's sounding more and more like Amos Yee every day.
Damn.
If everybody's consenting,
Amos Yee, that guy was crazy. He went on these whole tirades against the age of consent.
everybody's okay with it, if the parents are okay with it, if nobody's being harmed, if it's going to be okay, if
But I love how he's saying if nobody's being harmed, when you know the reason why there's an age of consent is because people get harmed when they're fucking when they're statutory raped as children, they are harmed. Yes, it harms them. Correct.
they're both abiding by the rules and they're not hurting each other.
What rules? Abiding by the rules? Well, the rule is that there's an age of consent at 18. So what rules are you talking about, Sneako?
Why not?
But they're still, like, they're at best a sophomore in high school. They can't consent to something like that. Like,
I feel like Charlie really kind of could have gone so much harder on this debate, dude. Could fucking tear this man to shreds. Charlie's just so baffled that Sneako's even taking this stance.
do you think a
Okay, so now it's
16-year-old can
sophomore in
consent to
high
something
school
like that?
versus senior in high school. What's the difference? What's the difference
I'm just saying,
maturity-wise?
like, I'm giving you a perspective on where that age would be in life. Like, they can't consent to something like that.
That's
do you
not. That's
think differently,
probably
I guess?
you're bringing up an outlier. That's probably not going to happen as much.
I feel like I'm literally looking at a potato that is talking to me about this shit.
I'm saying that these are.
A child can't consent. Sneako, you're looking at an outlier right now. What?
These are arbitrary reasons to say like a sophomore versus a senior in high school. How much different were you really maturity-wise?
Yeah, and a sophomore is 15 or 16, and a senior in high school is 17 or 18. I wouldn't say that somebody who is a senior and a sophomore is a pedophile. And if you do personally think that it's creepy or weird, then I don't think it should be held against them for the rest of their life. I would, however, say that somebody who's 21 in the United States, who's about to finish college, and someone who's 15 years old, who's still at the beginning of high school, relatively speaking, should not be dating because of the large maturity gap. This is pretty simple to understand, I think, and to be honest, Charlie doesn't do an amazing job of explaining himself here.
Yeah,
Sneako.
I'm glad that Tom and I are kind of on the same page here. I feel like Charlie was just not ready for Sneako to have these takes and wasn't properly prepared to fucking destroy him properly. It's wild. It's wild. Never underestimate an idiot. They'll always be dumber than you think.
It was kind of steamrolling him.
And what?
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. This is so sad. It's like you literally have this man telling you that it's okay for people to marry 12-year-olds and you can't fucking optimize on that shit. Come on, Charles. I literally just said in my last video about Charlie that I need to find a new thing to criticize Charlie for, or people are going to think I'm too much of a dick rider. Well, we found one, baby.
Wasn't that much of a difference. The reason that you keep saying 18 is because in California, where they post Hollywood movies.
Oh, yeah, it's because of the Hollywood movies. The woke agenda. The woke agenda. What the fuck?
It's 18. And so everybody across the world, this is the standard that we believe in. This is the correct age, exactly on the dot. And if it's anything under that, are you going to say here that if a 21-year-old got married to a 17-year-old who was almost 18, is that 21-year-old a pedophile?
I would say that that is a morally bad thing to do for sure.
Not morally bad. Not morally bad. Is that?
Dude, Sneako was so much better at debating than Charlie. It's so sad to me because I feel like Sneako just makes these insanely terrible points, and Charlie just, God, he can't exploit it.
I wouldn't call them a.
So when does somebody become a?
Oof, Charles, you're putting your foot in your mouth here. No.
When does somebody become a pedophile?
I would say when you have this position, you're
not answering the question.
I'm explaining it.
Okay.
When you are in your 20s and you start preying upon someone who is still a child, a 15, 16, 14, anything under 18, a 21 and a 17-year-old.
But you still haven't specifically defined what a child is.
I did.
So then why? Okay, there you go. So if pedophile is love of children, and your definition of adult starts at 18, if the 21-year-old marries a 17-year-old who's turning 18 tomorrow, he is a pedophile based off your definition.
As I said, if he would wait, he would not be. Then yeah,
well, not wait. Based off your definition, that person's
in that position. There is no reason to not wait for the legally established, agreed upon definition.
Charlie, why are you beating around the bush, bro?
When you stop being a child.
And this is where Charlie gets himself into some serious hot water.
Yikes. Oh, god damn. Oh, no. Charles, no. It's rough out here, boys.
Because he has a very hard time defining what is a child and what is not. For example, I defended Call Me Carson for the allegations made against him, which at worst, from what we know, is that he is a 19-year-old sexted a 17-year-old. This is potentially illegal in some places by Charlie's standards. Do I care? No. The same way that I don't care about it.
Yeah, because again, morality, legality, not exactly the same thing. But god damn, it hurts so much to see Charlie even, like, slightly on the wrong foot against Sneako of all people. Like, this guy is a freaking loser. It's so sad. It's so sad. It only takes one tiny L to lose a debate with Sneako. 'Cause how are you going to make Sneako look worse than he already looks?
A 20-year-old dating an 18-year-old. Sneako is not right that the law doesn't matter, but he is right to say that the way Charlie is arguing about it makes it kind of arbitrary, and he does not make a very good case for where his moral foundations lie. Yeah. I know I sound like a giant spurg right now.
I feel like Charlie just doesn't spend time thinking about this. He'll turn on the camera, he'll fucking yap about something for 8 minutes, and he'll end the yap fest. Like, I really feel like that's kind of Charlie's move. I don't think he thinks through positions to be prepared to defend them on an ideological level in a debate. And it's so sad, because Sneako does do that. Yes, they're insane positions, but he does do that.
Now because I'm like analyzing this as like a debate bro, whatever, but really Charlie just does not do an amazing job here, and you can't claim he did. I think even he would realize that. And Charlie once again makes the mistake here of not being able to explain why he thinks something is wrong.
Tomorrow, if the US government legalized bestiality, if the government legalized incest, based off your logic, there'd be no reason why that's wrong. Can I ask you, Moist, do you think that incest is wrong?
Yes.
Why is incest wrong?
Pretty brave take there, Moist.
Wrong.
I think that they're gonna legalize incest at some point. It's gonna be crazy. I'm just waiting for that shit. Oh my god. How is this where this came to?
There is under no circumstances any excuse for anyone of the same bloodline to be.
I feel like you really need to take you need to take Sneako behind the shed and debate him like purely biblically, okay? Because this man claims that he's just completely following some sort of moral code designed by God. That is literally Sneako's argument. So you need to take him behind the shed, all right? Behind the freaking shed. And just debate him completely based on biblical shit, okay? You need to go back there and say, well, God said it's wrong in the Bible. Bestiality? Oh yeah, God said that's wrong in the Bible too. The end. What's Sneako gonna say against something like that? It completely shakes his foundation. He's not ready for it. It would destroy him. It would completely destroy him.
Romantic like that by no means at all.
Why?
I really think it should be pretty obvious why.
I don't know why. I'm asking you.
Even I know where you're going with this because I've heard this argument from another streamer before about like the ethics of incest. If they don't have a kid and thus don't pass down like bad genes that lead to a bad child. I've heard this before.
But I want to hear your answer, because are we going with legal or are we going to follow some sort of morality, sort of consistent morality? Why is incest wrong?
Incest is wrong because I believe that no family dynamic should ever include a sexual relation.
Why?
I don't think that. Because it is not healthy. It is a bad thing to do. It is a horrible thing to subject someone to.
But why is it horrible?
Yeah,
because
Charlie was so not ready for this question. Oh, it hurts. It hurts. It's like, yes, on the one side you have the Sneako stupidity, but Charlie is really not doing super hot here.
Who told you that?
It's what I believe. And also, if you do have a child with your own kin, the child suffers.
Okay, but say it's two gay brothers.
See, I love this because, you see, the reason why Sneako is, like, he's on the wrong foot here. Because Sneako, I think, he thinks, isn't his take that gay people are a perversion? Isn't that the Sneako take? So, like, he's arguing right now points that he would never, ever be able to defend. You can so easily cook him on these.
Chris Tyson and other Chris Tyson and Chris, if they're two brothers,
it's just like looking at this man talk. It's insane.
Decide to be in a no. Genuine question. It's what you believe in. I want to figure out where your beliefs come from. You personally believe that.
My beliefs come from a place of what I believe to be moral. Where I don't believe.
Yeah, Charlie did not think these things through. He doesn't have a good answer for you. He thinks it's gross. That's the Charlie stance, and it's not a good argument in a debate. It's true. But I hear you.
That anyone in the same family has any position to be romantic with one another. I don't think that's a
your
healthy
morality
dynamic.
comes from yourself?
My morality comes from like the world around me. I don't have.
Okay, so if the morality comes from the world around you, then by your logic, if you lived in America in the 1800s where the age of 10 was okay, and where the age of 7 was okay in England, just 200 years ago, if you followed the world around you, that would be okay. That was fine.
And it's not now because we've evolved past them.
No, I think one of the main...
It's like, yes, they made a mistake in the past, but since it was legal then, that means that it's morally fine now, because then it was legal. It's like, I gotta take it back to Sneako. Every time he throws something at you, you gotta hurl it back. If he says to you, bro, in the 1800s, people got married at 10. He was like, bro, in the 1800s, there was slavery. Do you think slavery is ethical? You slap him with that, and it's like...
Main things getting critical caught up here is that he's not a debate streamer. He's not someone who spends a lot of...
That's my impression as well. He's not someone that introspects and thinks about why he thinks certain things are right and wrong. He's a yapper, and I love him for it.
Time thinking about their beliefs.
And honestly, he's a good man. He's a good freaking man. 2024, the year where everyone and their mother got exposed for the worst schnibbles available on the internet, Charles remains unaffected. So far, apparently this debate ends in a dumpster fire.
Beliefs and their morality.
Ah, fuck, dude. I hope it doesn't get worse than this.
So when he has to talk to someone like Sneako, who, as dumb as he is, has spent a little more time than Charlie thinking about his beliefs and studying how he can justify banging a kid, he looks bad. Straight up, he does look bad. But I don't think that just because the guy debating won a debate...
It's so funny. It's like, who would you rather be? The pedophile that won the debate, or the not pedophile that lost the debate? Who would you rather be? Let me know in the comments below.
that they're right. It means he knows how to justify his position, whereas Charlie does not. He's just a normal dude that accepts the morality of the world around him, which he says himself here. And beyond that, I don't think he spends a lot of time thinking about why he feels the way that he feels.
Yeah,
I think this is where one of the biggest points of criticism comes from regarding the Penguinz0 channel in general. He's like a lightning rod for the most commonly accepted take about any situation. On one hand, that's why his channel is so successful, but it's also why people hate him. He's not someone who spends hours and hours thinking about how he feels. He just turns on his camera, records his take, and leaves it at that off the cuff.
Yeah, I am a little blown away by the amount of hate Charlie gets for this. Personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with someone just yapping about some random bullshit online. He's not hurting anybody. He makes entertaining content. I don't see why this is a reason to hate him, but a lot of people definitely do hate him for this shit. That's for sure. But dude, God, he's not a debater, and he should not have entered a debate like this. At least not without talking to someone first. He should have talked to, I don't know, like Destiny or one of these debater bros before walking into a Sneako call. It's dangerous to think that just because you're on the side of legality, you could justify everything.
If anything, this debate has shown me that if nothing...
I'm not some debate bro. You guys are telling me that that I should debate Sneako. I'm not a debate bro. I think Sneako's a dumb fuck that would get humiliated because he's stupid. But I think that's how Charlie felt too. I don't know. I've never done debating.
But yeah, if you like the video, leave a like. Dislike if you disliked it. Retweet, whatever.
Yeah, that was a good video. Tom, I think, broke it down very, very well. Yikes, dude. This is crazy. Charlie needs to take people more seriously and should not be looking at Sneako like in some sort of good light at all. Dude's a monster. If you made it to the end, click one of these two videos, which also will definitely get me canceled. See you live on King. Stay weird, fam.